Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you Mubarak for the introduction. So I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Okay. All right. Okay. So first of all, thank you all for joining. Today we are talking about periods, which is a topic that is considered taboo in our society. So first of all, ये वाला जो सेशन होगा ये इस तरह से होगा कि we'll be focusing more on the mental health aspect of periods. So medical या biological perspective इतना नहीं होगा. We'll be focusing more on the physiological experience, more on the mental and the emotional experience, right? All right. So first of all, let's have a little discussion. You know, this is such a taboo topic in our society. तो पहले मुझे बताएं कि आप लोगों ने कितना देखा है कि ये वाला टॉपिक कितना लोग कंफर्टेबल होते हैं टू डिस्कस विद ईच अदर. I hope everyone can see me.
But those who want to share anything, you can just type in by chat, and if you want, you have access to your mic as well. So दोनों options use किए जा सकते हैं. But active participation is very highly encouraged.
Definitely, because अभी हम यहाँ पे मिलकर when we have gathered here to sort of have a discussion on it. So let's sort of make most of it. I'm here to answer any queries that you have as well. So यहाँ पे यही I'm reading the chat right now, and seems like कि हर कोई यही कह रहा है कि it's rare that people have discussed it. Most people feel ashamed about it. That's very important. The word that you've used, ashamed. We'll be talking about that later as well. Okay, what are some of the, why do you guys think it's a taboo? Why do you think कि उसमें एक sort of, there's so much about menstruation कि it has to be done in a hush hush, whispers में हम बात करें अगर हमने बात करनी है. Why are there, what myths or taboos have you guys heard regarding menstrual women? You guys can, again, as Mubarak said, you guys can utilize the chat or feel free to unmute yourselves and join in the conversation.
So, hi, if I talk about what I understand about this, what I've normally seen is that when it comes to menstrual cycles and when it comes to periods in women, it's treated as if a woman is on her cycle, there's almost as if there's something wrong about it. There's something shameful or dirty is the word that's coming to mind. So that's a perspective that people bring in when it comes to menstruating women. That's what I sort of noticed.
Right. So yes, chat पे भी किसी ने लिखा है, they've used the word dirty, right, and shame, and that men should not know about it. There is an, I think it'd be right to say that there is an active avoidance of this topic. हम कोशिश कर रहे होते हैं कि हम ये discussion ना करें, हम इस discussion को जितना हो सके suppress करें, and we don't talk about menstruation at all.
Okay, so अगर मैं बात करूँ इसके बारे में, so I would say कि मैंने दो types के लोग देखे हैं.
Okay.
सबसे पहले तो जो कहते हैं कि it's something that is very private, and I also agree to this thing कि yes, this is something that is very private and जिसको हम normally discuss नहीं कर सकते, but yes, अगर ज़रूरत पड़ती है, like where you are working on any policy of company, या when there is needed कि जब आप किसी health related topic पर बात कर रहे हो या फिर कोई product के हवाले से बात कर रहे हो, तो इसका जिक्र आमतौर पर कर दिया जाता है, like periods का या period से related जितनी भी products होते हैं उनका. But कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि they think that okay, now this is something fun part, मतलब चलो let's मजाक बना लेते हैं इस चीज का या something like this. तो again both like दोनों टाइप के पीपल आर देयर. तो ये हर किसी की अपनी अपनी मेंटालिटी के ऊपर होता है, आई कैन से. और फिर इसमें ये भी नहीं है कि लड़के मजाक बनाते हैं या लड़कियां नहीं बनाती, बिकॉज आई माई सेल्फ अगर मैं बात करूँ, सो आई एम वेरी एक्सप्रेसिव अबाउट इट. और जब भी anything, any post related to periods or something like this, when I posted, तो लड़के इतना कुछ भी नहीं बोलते, बट ज्यादातर लड़कियां ही बोली होती हैं, oh my god, तुम ऐसे publicly कैसे बात कर सकती हो, just remove this post or something like this. So again, it's very debatable thing.
Right. Thank you for that perspective. एक ये वाली चीज भी आती है definitely that periods is a private matter. Definitely. हमारी सोसाइटी में उसको इस तरह से ट्रीट किया जाता है कि उसकी प्राइवेसी के पीछे इफ यू नो इंटेंशन जो है, एक होता है कि मॉडेस्टी का सॉर्ट ऑफ मेरा प्राइवेट मैटर है लाइक यू मेंशन, दूसरी चीज आ जाती है दैट एलिमेंट ऑफ शेम, दैट एलिमेंट ऑफ डर्टीनेस अटैच्ड टू पीरियड्स, जिसकी वजह से फिर वी आर अनकंफर्टेबल, वी बिकम अनकंफर्टेबल टू हैव दैट कॉन्वर्सेशन, राइट? चैट पे किसी ने लिखा है impure, dirty. Due to lack of awareness, we are being taught since early years that it is something unclean and you should hide it. So again, this element of shame is coming up bar, right? Okay. So regarding this taboo, regarding the stigma, there are some things that actively play into our shame, specifically when it comes to the limitations that have been put onto menstruating women. I have heard, I think मैंने कोई Indian drama में ये चीज़ देखी थी कि if a woman is menstruating तो उसको kitchen में नहीं जाने की इजाज़त थी। इसके अलावा I have also seen around me that people are hesitant कि if a woman is menstruating then she should not be अपनी worship उसको limit कर देनी चाहिए, she should not be reciting the Quran, or she should not be entering places of worship, be it in Islam, be it in masjid हो गया या फिर other religions as well. So there is, we can see कि हमारी society में, हमारे culture में, we can see that this is very prevalent कि हमने सिर्फ periods के साथ जो एक main association लगा हुआ है वो है shame का, right? Even another thing that happens in our society is कि अगर किसी के घर में अब्बू और या फिर भाई हो, any male figure हो, तो रमज़ान के महीने में हम सहरी के लिए एक menstruating woman, she will wake up and सहरी करेंगी पूरा, and then she will go back to sleep, and then if she is going to eat during the day तो या तो वो नहीं खाएंगी या तो वो बिल्कुल छुप छुप के खाएंगी, मौका जैसे जैसे मिल रहा है उसके हाथ से, और फिर उसके बाद इफ्तारी में सबके साथ मिलकर. But even realizing कि a menstruating woman is allowed not to fast simply because at that time उनकी हमारी जो physiological needs होती हैं food वगैरह की, they are high, so it is important for us to have that food intake, to have that water intake. But क्योंकि वो shame इतना attached है कि it becomes a very opportunistic thing कि अच्छा अगर मुझे मौका मिलेगा कि मैं छुप के खा सकूं तो फिर ही मैं खाऊंगी, अच्छा मुझे प्यास लग रही है लेकिन मैं नहीं पीऊंगी क्योंकि अभी अब्बू या भाई किचन में, तो मैं पानी नहीं लेकर जा सकती, नहीं ले सकती. So privacy and modesty is definitely there, and I love that perspective यहाँ पे जो किसी ने share किया था. At the same time, on the other hand, we also have shame attached to it. So both of these things, end of the day, they lead to there being very less awareness for both females as well as males, of course, about periods. हम क्या कर रहे होते हैं, हमें अगर कोई menstruation के दौरान, there are so many physiological symptoms that are coming up of like pain हो रहा होता है, headaches, menstrual cramps हो रहे होते हैं, irritability हो रही होती है, गुस्सा आ रहा होता है, appetite में changes आ रही होती हैं, all of that is happening. Yet, what is the way to go for most people is कि अच्छा हम एक औरत हैं, so औरत pain bear करती है, that is the way society has sort of indoctrinated us with this thing कि अच्छा नहीं, औरत हो तो औरत का sort of एक duty होती है कि वो pain bear करे. So there's so much of dismissal that happens of physical health as well as mental health in our society कि फिर वो एक और चीज आ जाती है, और एक layer of shame attached हो जाता है in reaching out and having discussions, especially when needed, right? All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think I am the only boy here. ओके। अच्छा, मुझे भी जो है इसके बारे में, पीरियड्स के बारे में ज़्यादा इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं थी, बट जब किसी के साथ उठना बैठना हुआ तो उन्होंने इसके बारे में बस थोड़ा बहुत पता था कि क्या होता है, क्योंकि बायोलॉजी का बैकग्राउंड है, लेकिन इससे ज़्यादा कुछ पता नहीं था। लेकिन जब इसकी रियलिटी के बारे में पता चला कि इससे रिलेटेड कितने मसले होते हैं और क्रैम्प्स कितने हार्ड होते हैं, वो बेयर करना कितना मुश्किल होता है, तो मैं जो है वैसे तो एक मुझे 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 लगता है कि एक प्राइवेट चीज़ है, बट मैं प्रेफर करता हूँ कि जो मेरे अराउंड हैं, स्पेशली फीमेल, वो इंकरेज तो नहीं कर सकता मैं सबको ये कह के कि आप मुझे बताओ कि क्या चल रहा है आपकी लाइफ में, लेकिन अब मेरे जो कह सकते हैं कि क्लोज फ्रेंड है, मैं उनको ज़रा इंकरेज करता हूँ कि अगर कोई ऐसी चीज़ है तो वो जो है ना इस चीज़ को ओपनली डिस्कस करें, ताकि जो है वहाँ पे जो है उन उन कह सकते हैं कि उन दिनों में आपकी जो है एक्स्ट्रा केयर की जाए, क्योंकि अगर हम आपकी जगह होते तो मतलब आई डोंट थिंक कि हम इतना पेन हम लोग बियर कर सकते।
Right. Absolutely. I love that, this thing is coming up, it's a private matter. And that is also such an important thing to address. You know, you there has to be a balance. अगर हम एक चीज जो कि हर औरत go through करती है, ठीक है? Everyone with a uterus goes through periods, right? And there's so many struggles that one faces during this time, which does get very difficult for some people. So there is an amount of support that is required from the environment. There is an amount of, there needs to be a certain amount of education around periods in order for women to help themselves as well, right? So privacy, I think वहाँ से maintain हो सकती है. Just something that came into my mind right now. कि एक होता है my subjective experience और एक होता है objectively being educated about periods. So shayad over there we can find somewhere our footing between this balance. कि अच्छा हम अपने बारे में नहीं इतना बता रहे, but yes, periods में होता क्या क्या है, थोड़ा सा उस चीज के बारे में हम अगर awareness raise करें, right?
यस, बिल्कुल अवेयरनेस तो इसकी हर जगह होनी चाहिए, बट वो जो है जब एक सब्जेक्टिव पे आ जाता है तो वहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली बात है, सबको नहीं बता सकते ये चीज़ें। हाँ, जो आपके क्लोज मेल्स हैं, जो क्लोज फ्रेंड हैं, उनको ज़रूर इस बारे में ज़्यादा बताना चाहिए, ताकि उनको जो है थोड़ा कह सकते हैं कि उनके अंदर भी एम्पैथी आए कि होता क्या है ये बेसिकली।
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. Okay. So why these conversations are important? जो affected women होती हैं, मतलब कि जो PMS, premenstrual syndrome, या PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, who go through these, or whoever goes through symptoms that are very difficult to bear, ठीक है? They will be experiencing almost 3,000 days of severe symptoms during their reproductive years. I think 3,000 days would equal around 8 years, if my maths is not too off. Okay? So that is a huge part of life. That is a huge part of life, right? So this is why ek cheez jo ke every woman is experiencing. This is exactly why we need to have these conversations, right? A research showed that impairment during menses, impairment has been found in schoolwork productivity, in social life, in emotional well-being, in social functioning, in professional activities, everyday activities, or interference in household activities. Physical relationships affect हो जाते हैं partner के साथ, familial relationships affect हो जाते हैं, social life affect हो जाती है. इसके अलावा एक स्टडी में दिखाया था कि in total number of participants, 81.3% जो थी PMS से suffer कर रही थी. However, they were not undergoing any treatment or any medication to relieve their symptoms. And the reason behind that was the cultural influence, which tells Pakistani women that they're supposed to accept these symptoms simply as part of their experience of being a woman, right? Because you should not complain about it, you should just bear it because you are a woman. All right. So what exactly are periods? पूरा क्या होता है? Again, like I mentioned in the beginning, कि हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा biological या medical उसमें नहीं जाएंगे. We will be keeping it more to the physiological experience and the mental health experience. ठीक है, but just a quick overview कि menstruation में आपकी it happens once a month. It's the monthly shedding of the lining of the uterus. So the entire month, जो entire menstrual cycle होती है 1 महीने की, उसके दौरान female's body is preparing itself for pregnancy. So जो uterus होता है या जो womb होता है, right? उसकी जो lining होती है वो thicken हो रही होती है, उसमें blood vessels form हो रहे होते हैं, उसमें tissue form हो रहा होता है. End of that menstrual cycle, menses होता है, जिसमें आपके जो blood vessels होते हैं वो और जो सारा जो tissue form हुआ होता है वो सारा कुछ जो है it starts to flow from the uterus through the cervix and out of the body through the vagina. इस दौरान जो है there is a cocktail of hormones that are simultaneously interacting with each other. You've got prostaglandin, you've got progesterone, you've got estrogen, you've got serotonin, and so many others. So there are a lot of internal hormonal changes that your body is going through, and iski wajah se it's not just that every woman experiences her period differently, not just that, but also कि हर औरत का every month she will be experiencing her own periods differently. Every time there may be some change or the other, या फिर there might be phases of इस तरह के periods, फिर might shift to different symptoms, फिर might shift to different symptoms. The intensity of those symptoms would be changing. The longevity of those symptoms would be changing. क्यों? Simply because hormonal quantities are changing, frequencies are changing, interactions हो रहे होते हैं. There's so much happening inside your body biologically, right? All right, okay. So here I would invite you all to आप लोग भी share करें कि when जब menses आने वाले होते हैं, a few days before menses begin, and even during the time, what are some of the physiological experiences? What are some of the emotional experiences that are tied with menses for you guys? All right, so किसी ने यहाँ पे लिखा है, आयशा ने यहाँ पे लिखा है, I'm very sleepy, tired and cranky along with a lot of dizziness. Mood irritability हो रही होती है, extreme discomfort, irritation, aggression, angry, nausea. So that's a physiological symptom as well. Mood swings, again, emotions ऊंच नीच हो रहे होते हैं. Feelings of sadness, abdominal pain leading to even more discomfort. Really tired, severe pain and migraine, back pains, backache, sleepiness. So आपके पास emotional बहुत सारे आप लोग ने symptoms बताए हैं, experiences बताए हैं, or physiological as well. So we can actually divide it into these two categories: physiological symptoms and emotional symptoms, right? Too much anger. Right. Sahi. You feel low, right? Sahi. So to sum it up, there's also things like bloating that happens. There's weight gain that happens. A fluid retention हो रही होती है, bloating हो रही होती है. Skin की भी problems आ रही होती हैं, right? Muscle spasms, heart palpitations, and इसके साथ साथ acne flare up बहुत हो जाता है अक्सर लोगों में. Cramps आ रहे होते हैं. How about insomnia? Insomnia या hypersomnia, which basically means not being able to sleep या फिर बस नींद ही आ रही होती है. Anyone faces that? Yes. और इसके अलावा जो है, for some people, vision changes भी associated हैं with menses. इसके अलावा जो है appetite changes आ रहे होते हैं, food cravings आ रही होती हैं, right? hypersomnia. Yes, sahi. For some people, being more clumsy, yes, that's actually part of the menses experience as well. आपकी coordination में कभी कभार issues आ जाते हैं. Numbness भी होती है कुछ लोगों के लिए. Then there's urinal problems as well. And memory issues, forgetfulness, paranoia, अपने बारे में having low self-esteem, not having good thoughts about yourself, poor self-image जिसे कहते हैं. Crying spells. So basically इस तरह से जो है, I think we all at the, we've all sort of shared our experiences कि हम किस तरह से during that time, what we are dealing with, right? So physiological symptoms as well as a lot of emotional symptoms. Even हमारे हाथ पैर कभी वहाँ पे भी swelling वगैरह आ जाती है. सही. Thank you all so much for sharing. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to move on to premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So it is estimated that as many as 3 of every 4 menstruating women have experienced some form of premenstrual syndrome, right? So most people will be experiencing, all of the symptoms that we have just discussed. इसके पीछे etiology क्या है कि क्यों इस तरह से होता है, that is unknown. So इसमें इतनी research नहीं की गई है. However, the most widespread etiopathogenic hypothesis is serotonin dysregulation. Serotonin is a chemical in our body, ठीक है? So during menses, उसकी quantities में फर्क आना शुरू हो जाता है, ऊंच नीच आना शुरू हो जाता है. And it is associated with irritability, it is associated with anger, depressive symptoms, food cravings, and all of these are also experienced in PMS and PMDD. So इसलिए the most widespread hypothesis is कि शायद serotonin की quantities में changes की वजह से we experience all of these emotional symptoms. ठीक है. So usually PMS and PMDD happens between 20s to mid-30s, and 30s के बाद it starts to decrease. And जो अभी फिलहाल available treatments हैं, they're not always well tolerated, yet they're not always completely effective. Even the specific diagnostic criteria, which we would be delving into further later, तो उसके around भी एक lack of consensus है. Right? So we see कि ना etiology का इतना research है, ना diagnostic criteria का कोई consensus, lack है, basically lack of consensus है. Currently available treatments भी हमेशा effective नहीं होती. और फिर women are also not very open to sometimes going to the gynecologist because of the shame attached to periods. End of the day, it just turns into an even more unpleasant experience for women at a time where they need most support. Right? So talking about, I do want to acknowledge labels here. So जैसे कि हम कह रहे हैं premenstrual syndrome, हम कह रहे हैं premenstrual dysphoric disorder. These are labels, right? It's a category where we're fitting our experiences into. Labels do help us to sort of find a community, feel a part of community, to make us, they help us feel not so alone. ठीक है? They are very, they make us feel like we belong to a community, basically. हमारा एक support system का हमें लगता है कि अच्छा ठीक है, now I know what's wrong, now I can work towards it. But labels also have the power to limit us, ठीक है? So over here, I do want to acknowledge the fact that labels can sometimes make us, we may end up judging ourselves कि इसका मतलब है कि हमारे साथ कुछ गलत है. अच्छा मुझे PMDD होता है, इसका मतलब है कि there's something wrong with me. Right? But like we talked about previously, कि आपका एक hormonal changes आ रही होती है, which is a very human part, very human experience. ठीक है? So we need to sort of destigmatize that for ourselves. कि okay, yes, perhaps we fit into the criteria, perhaps we do not fit into the criteria. Regardless, the pain that we feel, the emotional turbulence that we're experiencing, it is not invalidated. That's still very much reality for us, right? क्योंकि जैसे कि मैं एक एग्जांपल दूं, ठीक है, भूख लगती है, your stomach starts to growl, right? If it happens in front of someone, you're going to feel discomfort, and even when it happens when you're alone, you don't feel very comfortable. किसी और के सामने हो तो there's a thing of it being embarrassing as well. So वो वाला discomfort आ रहा होता है. However, you do not think कि अच्छा मेरा पेट क्यों, why is my पेट growling, मेरा पेट क्यों आवाजें निकाल रहा है, right? You understand, it's a very human experience. That's okay. You're not judging that, right? There's nothing wrong with me that is happening in that moment. It's exactly the same with periods. We do not have to categorize our experience into, there being something that is wrong with us, right? Because simply this is a biologically correct response, right? Agar periods honge, so irritability and mood swings and anger and pains, all of these inevitably will follow, right? So I'm going to quickly go through the diagnostic criteria, and then we're going to focus on how we can help ourselves feel better about it. ठीक है, so हमने बात की थी about emotional and behavioral signs and symptoms, tension, anxiety, depressive mood, crying spells, mood swings, irritability, anger, appetite changes, food cravings, all of these. Change in libido as well, right? That is where your change in libido means basically a change in sex drive. So अगर आपका low sex drive हो गया या फिर high sex drive हो गया, तो फिर आपके जो relationship आपके partner के साथ, that may be affected. इसके अलावा जो physical या फिर physiological signs and symptoms हैं, इसमें joint or muscle pain, headache, fatigue, breast tenderness, weight gain related to fluid retention, abdominal bloating, acne, constipation, diarrhea, ये सब कुछ आ जाता है. And then there's also, of course, menstrual cramps. Menstrual cramps का एक fancy word जो है, वो होता है dysmenorrhea. ठीक है? यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा होता है basically कि हमारी body में chemical है prostaglandin, ठीक है? Which causes the uterus to contract. So during the entire menstrual cycle, not just during menses, but during the entire menstrual cycle, prostaglandin होता है release, ठीक है? However, during menses, ये possible है कि हमारा uterus ज़्यादा strongly contract करे, ठीक है? When prostaglandin is released. So when the uterus strongly contracts, तो जो nearby blood vessels होते हैं, it ends up pressing it. जब वो press आता है, वो pressure आता है blood vessels पे, तो obviously because blood vessels carry oxygen, ठीक है? तो वो oxygen जो है वो momentarily, oxygen supply जो है वो momentarily cut off हो जाती है to muscle tissue. And when that happens, you experience pain and hence menstrual cramps. So again, when we are delving into sort of the थोड़ा सा हम biology के भी पीछे हम जो देख रहे हैं कि क्या हो रहा है behind the scenes, the reason for that is to simply understand that all of these things, all of these symptoms, they're very much biologically a correct response. There is nothing that is wrong with us, okay? And again, that does not take away from the fact that the pain that we're feeling, the emotional and the physical experience जो हमारा हो रहा है, it does not take away from the fact कि हमें उस चीज से distress हो रहा है, उस चीज से हमें discomfort हो रहा है, ठीक है? All right. Okay. तो ये तो हमने बात कर ली थी about premenstrual syndrome. Moving on to the diagnostic criteria for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I'm just going to again quickly go through this. Okay, so the first criteria according to DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, okay? It basically, that book, it holds all the criteria for all disorders, okay? So the first criteria is at least 5 symptoms present hone chahiye in the week before the onset of menses, and then once menses begins, the symptoms should start to improve, and then after menses has ended, they should eventually become minimal or absent. कौन से symptoms? Marked affective liability, मतलब के mood swings वगैरह, irritability, anger, interpersonal conflicts, depressed moods, feelings of hopelessness, self-deprecating thoughts, again what we talked about, low self-esteem coming in, anxiety, tension, या फिर feelings of being keyed up or on edge, मतलब कि जो एक हम बोलते हैं उर्दू में घबराहट वाली कैफियत. The third criteria is this may be, again, there are more symptoms that are here, decreased interest in usual activities, subjective difficulty in concentration, lethargy, मतलब कि fatigue, lack of energy, change in appetite, ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा खा रहे हैं, या तो specific food cravings हो रही हैं, hypersomnia हो रहा है या insomnia हो रहा है, starting to feel very overwhelmed या फिर out of control, physical symptoms such as breast tenderness, muscle pain, bloating या फिर weight gain वाला sensation. The next criteria is कि ये वाले सारे जो symptoms हैं, they are clinically significant, ठीक है, मतलब कि वो इस हद तक हैं कि वो आपके work या school या daily functioning के साथ किसी भी तरीके से interfere कर रहे हैं. कोई भी और disorder, specifically psychiatric disorders की वजह से ये symptoms ना आ रहे हों, and कम से कम 2 symptomatic cycles हों, मतलब कि आपकी 2 months में आपके जो 2 cycles होते हैं, तो दोनों cycles में आपको ये symptoms, ये सारे जो criteria हैं वो fulfill हो रहे हों. And lastly, there is ये सारे symptoms जो हैं, they're not attributable to any substance use, यानी कि कोई drug abuse या फिर कोई medications due to any other medical condition. ठीक है? Again, I would also very strongly emphasize on this कि there may be some of you जिनके लिए ये जो criteria है वो resonate करता हो. However, I would strongly discourage from आप लोग self-diagnosing की तरफ नहीं जाइएगा. If you guys feel like there is these things are resonating with you, you can definitely visit a psychologist. You can visit a therapist. क्योंकि these are criterias. However, like we saw before, there is a lack of consensus around the diagnostic criteria, as well as therapist जो होता है उनके पास experience होता है, तो वो अपनी expertise से लगाते हुए diagnosis देते हैं. ठीक है? All right. Okay. Now, regulating the pain and regulating the emotions. So, हमारे लिए when a woman is menstruating, she is experiencing physical pain, जहाँ पे joint pain and all of that, backaches, headaches, migraines, ये सब कुछ आ जाते हैं, as well as there is an element of mood swings या फिर emotional changes attached to PMS या फिर periods in general. So what happens is कि हमारी body के अंदर, right, there's so many hormones that are coming into play, there's so much happening inside us physiologically, right? So all of that leads to a lot of stress being built up in our body. And when our body is stressed, it will lead to dysregulation, या फिर it will lead to our body being in a state of disequilibrium. So what helps over here is self-regulation. Self-regulation क्या होता है? If I put it very simply, self-regulation means de-stressing the body. ठीक है? So using tools, using resources to bring the body back into a state of equilibrium, back into a state of regulation. So how can we do this? आप लोग मुझे बताएं. When I would invite the females here and even हमारे जो male participant हैं, tell me what you guys have heard works, या फिर what you guys have tried yourself that has worked for you to sort of help manage the pain or help manage the mood swings that come with periods. Green tea. That is a very good way of de-stressing your body. Eating ice cream, cherries, all right. मुझे भी सीखने को मिल रहा है. These are definitely things that I think I'll also be trying. Juices, keeping yourself hydrated is very important. Sleeping, I love that suggestion. Painkillers, heating pads for cramps, milk or boiled eggs, indulging yourself in comforting things, Love that. Comforting activities. Haldi ka doodh, turmeric in hot milk. Okay, great. Restricting yourself to a safe space, helping yourself, avoiding stressors, very good. Deep breathing to control anxiety at that time, very nice. All right. Being absent or taking time out for yourself, talking to a friend and expressing emotions. I love that you all have such a good resource toolkit to help yourselves. Engaging myself towards my hobbies. Wonderful.
I think इन मोमेंट्स में जो है जो मेल हैं, जो स्पेशली अगर कोई यहाँ पे जो फीमेल रिलेशनशिप में है या कोई अपने सिग्निफिकेंट अदर के साथ हैं, तो उनको इस बारे में अगर थोड़ा सा बताएं, क्योंकि मुझे भी, जैसे मैंने बताया कि मुझे पता नहीं था इसके बारे में, जब मुझे पता चला तो मैंने जो मैं जिसके साथ था पहले, तो मैं उनको एनकरेज करता था कि मुझे बताया करो कि कब स्टार्ट हो रहे हैं, ताकि जो है उस टाइम में जो है कह सकते हैं कि थोड़ी सी अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग थोड़ी सी बनाएं, या कह सकते हैं कि कहीं कि कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ अगर हमको ज़्यादा करना पड़े, क्योंकि एक आपके साथ एक चीज़ चल रही है, तो वहाँ पे वो चीज़ की जाए। और मेरा एक और जो चीज़ थी, मैं जो है चॉकलेट्स बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ करता था, क्योंकि उन्हें चॉकलेट बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद थी। तो वो जो है बार बार जो है ना, मैं खुद से जब भी वो होता था, तो मैं खुद से चॉकलेट्स ला के देता था उनको, या जो उनकी फेवरेट चीज़ें जो है उनको ज़्यादा उसमें जो है सपोर्ट मिलता है। तो जो भी है यहाँ पे, जितनी भी फीमेल्स है, वो अपने जो आसपास की मेल्स हैं या जो भी हैं, उनको इस बारे में जब बताएंगे तो उन्हें पता चलेगा। तो इसके बारे में किसी को पता नहीं होता। इवन कह सकते हैं कि लोगों की शादियाँ हो जाती हैं, लोगों को पता नहीं होता कि मेल्स को कि ये चीज़ें क्या होती हैं। तो जब इसके बारे में बताएंगे तो पता चलेगा, और हो सकता है कि जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग होते हैं वो उस मोमेंट्स में और ज़्यादा अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाए।
I love that. I love कि आपने, you opened that discussion, that conversation with your partner at that time. कि, when you had that conversation, she was able to, between the two of you, एक वो channel of communication खुला कि okay, what is needed, what she needs at that time, and how you can support her, right? So that's wonderful. हम आगे जाके ये भी बात करेंगे specifically कि हम males को, what males can do sort of to support females during this time. Just taking it easy. Love that. All right. So it seems like all of you do have quite a toolkit of resources to help support yourselves, right? Which is amazing. And I hope कि दूसरों के suggestions भी देख के, for me also, this is a learning experience कि अच्छा, these are things that I can use as well, right? So I want everyone to sort of, we can even note down all of these resources that आप सब लोग भी जो share कर रहे हैं, and I would encourage कि try it out. Try and see what works for you and what does not work for you. Get in touch with yourself, right? Okay. Okay. What helps to regulate this pain and these emotions that come up during periods? First of all, diet and lifestyle changes. So इसमें क्या आ जाएगा? Avoiding foods that contain caffeine, ठीक है? We all know this कि coffee से जो है anxious feelings कुछ लोगों के लिए increase हो जाती हैं. It makes you jittery, थोड़ी सी energy increase हो जाती है, anxious thoughts आना शुरू हो जाते हैं. So let's refrain from caffeine. Secondly, exercise. It has been found that regular exercise helps to decrease premenstrual symptoms. Again, regular exercise, I'm not just talking about during periods, I'm talking about the time when you're not on your period as well, right? तो उस वक्त जो है exercise करने से क्या होता है? आपका stamina built होता है, fitness आती है, उसके साथ साथ जो है endorphins release होते हैं. Endorphins are sort of chemicals in your body. They're the happy chemicals. ठीक है? So उससे भी एक mood change में जो है वो मदद करता है. इसके अलावा जो है regulating the pain that comes with periods. Absolutely. I was just reading the chat right now. As Mubarak has said that if you want to share something privately with me, so आपके पास यहाँ पे option है Zoom chat पे, जहाँ पे आप everyone के बजाय to just me up to Hania Habib कर दें. So I will be able to read that, and obviously I won't take your name and I'll share it with everyone else here. ठीक है? ठीक है. So coming back to regulating pain. Tell me, जब आप लोगों को menstrual cramps हो रहे होते हैं या दर्द हो रहा होता है, headache हो रहा होता है, backache हो रहा होता है, what are some things that you guys use? I think someone mentioned a heating pad as well as medicines. What else? Ice chips, massages. Cold beverages. So what happens is that, especially when we talk about heating pads, ya phir even a hot water bottle, right? So, putting them on your abdomen or putting them on your lower back, it sort of helps your body get back into a state of homeostasis. You get basically homeostasis here meaning a state of equilibrium, right? Uske saath saath you get so many gels that are available in the market, deep heat, right? इस तरह के जो मसल रिलैक्सेंट्स हैं जो आप जेल लगा लें, so it's superficial as well, it's just going to be in contact with your skin, so you can use these to help yourself regulate the pain that comes with periods. Hot milk, eating dates or shakes, hot water bags, yes. ठीक है. All right. Okay. Secondly, next, what we can do is don't be dismissive, reach out. Whenever you are in a place where you're feeling low, या फिर बहुत ज़्यादा negative thoughts आ रहे हैं, या फिर बहुत ज़्यादा pain हो रहा है, realize that you do have the choice of involving someone else. It can be a close friend, it can be your mother, it can be visiting a gynecologist, it can be contacting a therapist. You do have people to reach out. You do not have to bear the pain. You do not have to have such a difficult experience of periods. So just having that realization that even though we live in a society jahan pe it is not encouraged to have these conversations around periods, you are allowed to reach out in order to help yourself, right? It's not something to be ashamed about. हम जितना अपने emotions को dismiss करते रहेंगे, उतना ही हम normalize करेंगे all this pain that we are going through. And it's, even all of these symptoms, these emotional highs and lows, या फिर these physiological symptoms that are coming up, they're not isolated. For example, अगर किसी को बहुत ज़्यादा pain हो रहा है, menstrual cramps हो रही हैं, headaches हो रहे हैं, eventually their work might be affected, their academic life might be affected. अगर किसी को बहुत irritability हो रही है, anger हो रहा है, तो या फिर social withdrawals हो रहे हैं, तो then their relationships might be affected. So basically आपकी एक isolated वो नहीं होती है. अगर आपके पास bloating हो रही है और weight gain हो रहा है, तो आपकी body की जो image है, body self image जो होती है, वो चीज़ affect हो सकती है. So it's not an isolated thing. It's like a domino effect, and it does have consequences. So don't be dismissive. Reach out. Realize that you do have the choice. You don't have to have difficult periods, right? The importance of rest. I love that कि आप लोग ने पहले से ही ये चीज़ के बारे में बात की है about sleeping and taking out time for yourselves and indulging in things that make you happy, indulging in your hobbies, indulging in activities that you enjoy. So getting enough sleep during periods is very important. Your body is working बहुत ज़्यादा अंदर से. There's a lot that is happening inside, right? So realize that you will be requiring extra rest, and allow yourself to have that extra rest. Prioritize yourself enough to allow yourself that rest, right? If you have a busy schedule, then beshak aap take out 5 minutes and lay down, right? Take out 5 minutes and lay down with the intention that I'm relaxing and I'm taking care of my body. इसके अलावा जो है, whatever helps you, meditation हो गया, yoga हो गया. There are these amazing specific एक meditation होती है, guided imagery meditation. I'm just going to write it on the chat. I see कि chat पे भी messages आए हुए हैं. I will be reading them. ठीक है? So guided imagery meditation. ठीक है? Sorry, I misspelled that. Guided. So you can easily find a lot of videos on YouTube as well. It's basically आपने बस on कर दिया वो वाली वीडियो, अपने आंखें बंद कर कर आप लेट के, ठीक है? आपको short videos भी मिलेंगी, आपको long videos भी मिलेंगी, whatever you can fit into your schedule, ठीक है? And that and then a voice in the video will sort of be guiding you throughout कि अच्छा आप ये imagine करें, फिर आप ये imagine करें. Background में perhaps nature voices भी होती हैं कुछ videos में. See what works for you, what does not work for you. Utilize that me time that you have. Prioritize yourself enough to, you know, take out some me time for yourself during the day. Do things that you love. Essential oil. किसी ने green tea की बात की थी. That was an amazing suggestion as well. Scented candles. Some people enjoy. तो अगर आपने 5 मिनट में निकाले हैं, तो आपने scented candle को light up कर दिया, right? Give yourself, allow yourself, you know, as much relaxation as you can during those moments. Long showers as well, they help as well. जब आपकी body, you know, when you feel clean and you feel fresh after a shower, फिर उसके बाद आप जाके 5 मिनट लेट जाओ, it feels so safe and it feels so एक sort of वहाँ से भी इतनी relaxed वाली feeling आ रही होती है. So do prioritize yourself enough to realize that it's okay to take out some time or during my day and keep it for myself. Mubarak has also sent a website for a video for guided imagery for emotional wellness. Thank you, Mubarak. इसी तरीके से you can get specific for anxious thoughts. You can get specific for low moods. You can get it specific for and you know, नींद नहीं आ रही तो उसके लिए भी guided imagery होती है, meditation. So it's a very good tool to utilize during your me time. Next, affirmations. So, what are affirmations? Simply put, self-reminders to nurture loving thoughts. So be kind to yourself. जब आप अपने inner monologue को change कर लोगे into a kind and accepting inner monologue, you will allow yourself, you're giving yourself permission to, you know, show that compassion to yourselves, show that kindness to yourself, show that acceptance to yourself, show that it is okay for me to be, you know, it is okay for me to, ठीक है, एक biologically correct responses आ रही हैं of pain and all of that. It is, first of all, I am healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. However, I am feeling pain. I am feeling mood changes. And yes, it is uncomfortable. It is distressing, right? So allowing yourself space to come back to safety, to come back to relaxation, right? Another thing that you can do over here is, sometimes it gets difficult to do this. I would like to acknowledge that. Or sometimes it may help to sort of sit back and think about a good memory you have. Think about things that you're grateful for. Think about the positive things in your life. You know, अपने आप का ख्याल रखें. Self-care is a word that's thrown around so much, but none of us actually are able to do it a lot in our lives. So here and there, थोड़ा थोड़ा पानी extra पी लिया, थोड़ा सा खाने पे ध्यान दे दिया, थोड़ा सा shower अपना intentional ले लिया, थोड़ी देर लेट गए. Little things here and there have a huge impact on the pain and the emotions that we go through during periods. Acha. I'm just going to, I just wanted कि मैं इस चीज़ की भी बात करूं about regulation, right? So there are two types of regulation, up regulation and down regulation. What knowing about this concept will do is that it will help you to sort of choose, okay, of all of the resources that you have, which one might work for you at that time. So when your energy levels are low, for example, when you're feeling sad, ठीक है, उस वक्त जो है आपकी energy levels usually low होती हैं, ठीक है? तो उस वक्त what you would want to do is get your energy back up. Back up मतलब up regulation. अप रेगुलेशन कैसे करेंगे? थ्रू मूवमेंट हो गया, सो डांसिंग और लिटिल लाइट एक्सरसाइज या स्ट्रेचिंग हो गया. इफ दैट्स टू मच, बिस्तर से बिल्कुल भी उठा नहीं जा रहा, which is something that does happen during periods. There are a lot of nerve endings in your face, so just tapping. When you do that, what you're doing is you're giving sensory stimulation to your body, and that helps you wake up. That helps your energy to get regulated. इसके अलावा वो भी नहीं किया जा रहा, तो just laying down and खोलना बंद करना, खोलना बंद करना, या फिर wiggling your toes, any sort of movement. Stretching, आपने neck stretches कर दिया, right? आपने अपने arms को stretch कर दिया, right? Just getting some movement in it might help you move from low energy spaces to up regulation. Down regulation कब आता है? Down regulation आता है when हमारी energy बहुत ज़्यादा high हुई है. For example, it often happens when we're feeling anxious. Anxious हो रही होता है, समझ नहीं आ रहा था, घबराहट हो रही होती है अंदर से, दिल फास्ट धड़क रहा होता है, हार्ट बीट इंक्रीज हो जाती है, सांस sort of, you're taking quick breaths. So उस वक्त जो है, what you need to do is down regulate. Deep breaths. Deep breaths किस तरीके से करते हैं? We inhale through our nose and then exhale through our mouths. Even adult coloring books are a great way to release energy, right? So relaxing your body. So don't be lastly, I will also say this, do not sort of hold yourself back to अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आपके symptoms बहुत ज़्यादा आपको महसूस हो रहे हैं, pain बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है, emotional changes बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं, go to a therapist, go to a gynecologist. Do not hold yourself back from resources that you do have available to you. Okay? How can males help? Okay? First of all, acknowledging it as a natural process. There's so much of negative connotation around this. In popular culture, we hear "Ketcha," oh, is it that time of your month? कोई male जो है, कोई female character को बोल रहा होगा in a movie show, for example. ठीक है? So sort of realizing कि it is a natural process. ठीक है? So the emotional changes that a female is going through are very natural. So we need to hold space for it instead of making it even more difficult for her, right? Understand and acknowledge that it is a difficult time. Next, listening and asking. So जैसे कि यहाँ पे जो हमारे पास जो मेल पार्टिसिपेंट थे उन्होंने बात की थी यहाँ पे, having that conversation about her experience, if it's your partner or if it's जो भी आपके दोस्त हैं या जो भी close friend है, so I'll have that conversation with her. Ask her about her experience, ask her what helps her, ask her what she needs, ask her, giving even little check-ins like, acha, kaisi tabiyat, how are you feeling? Little things here and there that helps the female feel supported. Because during these times, that's what you're needing. You need a lot of support because so much is happening inside of your body. So help and support. ये किस तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं? Through, जैसे कि, even house chores में किसी की मदद करना कि अच्छा, let me get the dishes done today for you, या मैं सफाई कर लेता हूँ थोड़ा सा आज, right? So helping daily functioning में चीज़ों में help करना, and chores जो mental stresses हैं, जो काम हैं, उसमें थोड़ा सा हाथ बटाना. Discouraging menstrual taboos. Again, if you see as a male, if you see other males having a conversation in which you feel like education is needed, then go ahead and do it. Because periods के बारे में नहीं पता, बस पता है कि periods होते हैं, right? So having that conversations with males, if you come from a place where you do have that education, then don't, don't hesitate to spread that information. Have that conversation within your males so that, encourage them to have that awareness, encourage them to learn about it. Google में तो सारा कुछ लिखा होता है. If you don't have a close female near you who can sort of give you a tell you about a first-hand experience, go on Google. वहाँ पे इतने सारे आपको चीजें पता चलेंगी. But go ahead and sort of education को जितना awareness को जितना आप spread कर सकते हैं वो करना है. ठीक है? Suggestions from a validating space. कभी कोई ये वाली चीज हो जाती है कि you know, a female might think it's my experience, a male has never gone through it, तो फिर you know, how can he tell me कि मैं किस तरह से अपने आप की मदद करूं. Sometimes I have seen this around me कि ये वाली चीज भी आ रही होती है. So, you know, just languaging it in a better way, or coming from the intention कि अच्छा, you know, you mentioned that exercise helps. So, you know, do you want to do some together? या फिर I read on the internet कि you know, abdominal cramps के साथ heating pads मदद करते हैं. Do you think you know, if you think that might help, then I can get you one. So इस तरह से कर suggestions लेकर आए, but from a validating space. Lastly, of course, listen, support, and hold space for a female's experience while she's going through all of this. All right, so that is all for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. कुछ लोगों जो मुझे जो messages किए हुए हैं privately भी as well. I would suggest कि if there is any other medical condition that you guys are experiencing, ठीक है, like PCOS हो गया, hypothyroidism, इस तरह की कोई भी चीज हो, तो I would suggest कि do go and get it, you know, consult a gynecologist. However, of course, if there are any mental health related or emotional health related, any questions that anyone has, then let me know. I'll be happy to answer.